Do you feel it? The soft pull inside your chest, like something sacred is drawing near. This is not a coincidence. This moment is divine alignment. There are things you've prayed for that you don't speak of anymore. Not because they stopped mattering, but because hope began to ache more than silence. You whispered in the dark, and you thought no one heard. But I did. Heaven has heard the sound of your unseen longing, the weight of your secret sacrifices, the ache in your spirit when the world saw your smile, but not your surrender. And now the answer you've waited for is at the door. Your miracle has not been delayed. It has been prepared. With every delay, I was refining it. With every heartbreak, I was shaping you. With every silent night, I was drawing closer. The angel assigned to your life has not stopped moving. They have walked beside you in every room, stood behind you in every battle, and are now positioned before you, holding the very thing you once thought you'd never see. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. The prayers you barely remember praying, I never stopped listening. The tears you hid in your pillow, I bottled them as sacred offering. And now I say this to you, not with urgency, but with authority. Your miracle is here. Not in concept, not in theory, in reality, in motion. There will be no more delay, no more false starts, no more missed signs. You may feel unsure, but heaven is certain. You may feel small, but your destiny is not. Let your spirit breathe that in. This is not another message. This is not another voice in the noise. This is the divine pulse of your miracle, beating louder than your doubt, pressing closer than your fear, and standing right at the edge of your belief. You are ready, even if you don't feel it. Let this truth settle within you. Before you were formed, I knew this moment. Long before you cried your first prayer, I had already written the answer. Nothing about today is ordinary. Nothing about your presence here is random. You are standing at a divine threshold. I've watched you endure. Not just hardship, but the quiet kind, the type no one sees, the ache behind your laughter, the weight behind your kindness. You kept showing up for others even while wondering if anyone would ever show up for you. And heaven has taken notice. The angels have whispered your name in sacred chambers. They've stood in the gap when your faith was too tired to speak. They've carried scrolls with your promises. And today, one of them is being unsealed. You've been asking for confirmation, something clear, something unmistakable. And this is it. I don't operate in coincidence. I orchestrate divine appointments. You were led here. You were drawn here. Because now is the hour of fulfillment. You have outgrown old timelines. That season of endless waiting, of seeing others receive while you stayed in the shadows, has come to a holy end. This is your unveiling. This is where delay becomes destiny. But listen carefully. The blessing will not arrive wrapped in the comfort you expect. It may come through unfamiliar faces. It may knock disguised as inconvenience. It may arrive through sudden endings or unexpected encounters. Do not reject what you prayed for simply because it looks different than your imagination. I am not a God of repetition. I am a God of new things, miracles that confound logic, breakthroughs that humble the proud, restoration that stuns even you. So open your eyes, not your physical ones, your spiritual ones. Look beyond the surface. Feel beyond the noise. The winds have shifted. The atmosphere is trembling. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the whisper of the Spirit saying, "It's here. The answer is here." Breathe deep. Heaven is not far. You've felt it, haven't you? The sudden waves of emotion, the stillness that enters a room without warning, the sense that something invisible is moving around you. That's not your imagination. That's the beginning of the miracle. The veil between realms is thin. The angelic realm is not watching from a distance. It's surrounding you now. Your guardian has stepped forward. Their hands carry what was once delayed. Their voice echoes my decree. No more waiting. No more wandering. No more wondering. You have been on the edge of giving up more than once. You have whispered, "Lord, I'm tired. I don't know how much more I can carry." And I heard that whisper not as weakness, but as surrender. I did not punish your weariness. I wrapped you in it. Even when you said, "I don't think I can believe anymore," I believed for you. Even when you lost the will to hope, I hid hope inside you anyway. And now, because of that, you are walking into what your tears built, what your silence protected, what your obedience preserved. There were moments you didn't understand why certain people were removed, why some doors shut so fast, why opportunities fell through your fingers. But I was not being cruel. I was clearing the path. I was ensuring the blessing would not be tainted by unready hands. Some who once stood beside you could not carry the weight of what's next. Their presence would have poisoned your promise. So I stepped in. I didn't just protect you from them. I protected the miracle from sabotage. This is not punishment. This is preservation. This miracle is not fragile, but your heart is still healing. So I'm handling both with care. You will not need to chase what's coming. It is already chasing you. Rest in this. It's closer than it seems. There is a trembling in the heavens tonight, not from fear, but from divine motion, a stirring that shakes loose what has been bound for too long. And your name is written on what's being released. You have asked me, "Lord, have you forgotten?" But I remind you now, I do not forget what I promise. I do not misplace the cries of my beloved. Every prayer you thought vanished into silence, I have preserved. And now I am pouring the answers like rain upon dry ground. The enemy tried to bury your miracle beneath layers of doubt, beneath betrayal, beneath spiritual warfare you never signed up for. He whispered lies in the night. He sent discouragement wrapped in familiar voices. He tried to convince you that because it hadn't happened yet, it never would. But I was never pacing. I was preparing. I saw the way your soul began to fray at the edges. I watched the weight try to twist your posture. But what you didn't see was my angels lifting your spirit in the background, fortifying your endurance, interceding when your voice had no words left. And now, the shift begins. I have ordered a reversal. The cycles that once trapped you are breaking. The doors that refuse to open are unlocking at my command. The delays are folding under my timing. And yes, the curses, spoken and unspoken, are being silenced. Your name is being restored. Your identity is being renewed. What was stolen will be returned with interest. This is not a temporary moment. It is a divine rerouting. What was meant to destroy you is becoming the very platform that reveals your calling. So do not shrink. Do not apologize for what is being handed to you. I give good gifts unapologetically. Stand tall now. The heavens are moving for you. You have walked through fires that no one saw, not the kind that scorch skin, but the kind that burn identity, that test faith in the stillness, that whisper, maybe I'm not chosen after all. But you were not consumed. You were refined. This is why the miracle could not come sooner. It had to meet the version of you that knew how to carry it without fear, without compromise, without apology. You were not being punished in the silence. You were being prepared in secret. Some nights you wanted to disappear, to blend into the noise, to quiet your own hunger for more. But something inside you would not die, a flicker that refused to go out, even when hope turned cold. That flicker was me, the fire that cannot be quenched, the breath that speaks when the world falls silent. And now, because you did not curse the silence, I am filling it with promise. Archangel Michael has drawn his sword on your behalf. He has stood in the gap, fighting battles in realms you'll never need to see. Clearing timelines, cutting soul ties, unraveling schemes that formed against you in the shadows. You are not weak for surviving. You are anointed because you endured. And now the time of enduring ends. This next season is not about proving anything. It's about receiving. You don't have to fight for this door. You just have to walk through it. I have gone before you. The oil of favor is already being poured. The room is already prepared. And when you step into it, you will feel it in your bones. That sacred stillness that says, I was born for this. Let that knowing rest on you now. It's already begun. You've been standing at the edge for a while now, feeling the pull forward but unsure where your foot would land. But today I say, step, not because the path is clear, but because I made the ground beneath your next move. This is the moment where logic must bow to faith, where your plans give way to my purpose. You've done all you can do. You've prayed, fasted, cried, surrendered. Now let me do what only I can. I am the God who parts seas, the one who speaks to bones and makes them live again, the one who sends fire by night and bread from heaven by morning. And I am still that God today. Your miracle is not too much for me. Your request is not unreasonable. Your breakthrough is not beyond reach. I see the fear that still lingers behind your worship, the hesitation in your praise, the subtle worry that says, what if I get disappointed again? But disappointment is not your destiny. Breakthrough is. Overflow is. Restoration is. The people who walked away, let them. Their exit was permission for me to enter more fully. I cannot fill what is still holding space for the counterfeit, so I removed it. With love, but with finality. You didn't lose anything essential. You gained room for the sacred. Your miracle is not arriving someday. It is unfolding now, woven into every breath you take, every moment that feels slightly off-center, every divine interruption you didn't expect. And when it touches down, you will recognize it not by fanfare, but by the peace it brings. The unshakable peace that makes no sense except that it came from me. Carry that peace with you. Your hands are about to be filled. There is a silence that speaks louder than thunder. And in that silence, I have been speaking to you, not with noise, but with alignment, with inner nudges, with the way your spirit tugs when something isn't right, with the way peace floods your chest when you're near what's holy. You are learning the language of heaven, not through sermons or signs, but through sensitivity. And that is why your miracle will not pass you by. because you've learned to feel me before you see me. This is not about earning it. This is about recognizing it. The blessing is not coming with a loud trumpet. It's coming quietly, wrapped in ordinary skin, but glowing with my fingerprint. Be careful not to dismiss the moment just because it feels unfamiliar. I often hide the divine in the plain. I disguise the sacred in the simple. You've cried for restoration, and I'm answering not just with healing, but with elevation. The very thing that tried to bury you is about to witness your resurrection. I have turned the eyes of those who once ignored you. I've whispered your name into rooms you didn't even know existed. And when they ask, who are they to receive such favor? Heaven will respond, they are chosen, they are mine. This miracle is not about status, it's about alignment. You aligned your heart when no one was watching. You stayed faithful in famine. You kept sowing love even when you reaped loneliness. Now it is time to reap joy. Now it is time to dance again. And no shadow from your past can dim what I am revealing in your future. Let joy find you again. It has missed your voice. There are moments when heaven leans close, and this is one of them. The air around you feels different, not because you're imagining things, but because something eternal is brushing up against your now. You've spent years thinking you were behind, measuring yourself against timelines I never wrote, but time bows to me. Delay is not denial, and your wait has not been wasted. I've been layering your life with unseen preparation. You thought nothing was happening, but I was building foundation beneath your every step. You thought doors were slamming, but I was rerouting you to ones that would never close again. What once broke you will now bless you. That heartbreak? It softened your pride. That betrayal? It sharpened your discernment. That season of being hidden? It protected the parts of you I was still healing. You see, I do not just give miracles, I give them in the right season, so they do not crush you, so they do not drift from your hands, so they don't come with sorrow attached. Now the season has shifted. You are no longer in survival mode. This is not another lesson. This is fulfillment. Even now, angels are preparing the space. They are clearing distractions. They are removing counterfeits. They are guiding real connections toward your path. You won't have to strive. You won't have to explain. You won't have to beg. The evidence will speak for itself. And when it arrives, you'll know. Not because it makes sense in your mind, but because your soul will exhale for the first time in years. Feel that release. That's heaven making room. You've carried so much for so long, it almost felt normal to be empty. But I never created you to survive on scraps. I made you for fullness. You poured into others while your own cup ran dry. You celebrated their miracles while quietly mourning your own silence. You stood in the gap for them, even as your knees buckled under unanswered prayers. But nothing has been lost. Not one act of love. Not one tear in secret. Not one whispered, "God, please don't forget me." I remembered. And now, the storehouses of heaven are opening over you. Not just with provision, but with recompense. This is repayment. This is restoration. Every no you endured in the past was heaven's way of preserving a louder yes in the future, and that yes is now echoing through the spiritual realm. The shift won't feel like a storm. It'll feel like a deep sigh, like peace settling in your bones, like clarity finally rising after long confusion. And you'll realize what once felt like rejection was divine redirection. I am writing your name on doors you haven't knocked on. I am moving hearts to speak your favor when you're not in the room. I am breathing on ideas that once lay dormant, and even the places that once broke you. Yes, even there, I will cause new life to bloom. There will be no mistake when it happens, no doubt that it came from me, no fear that it will be taken away. Because this time, you're not catching a blessing, you're becoming one. Let your spirit lift now. You were made for this season. Look at your life now, not with the eyes of fear, but with the eyes of faith. Can you sense it? The ground beneath you feels unfamiliar because it's been made new. You're not walking in circles anymore. You're stepping into completion. This is not just a miracle, it's a divine unveiling. A revelation of everything that's been growing in silence, taking shape behind the scenes, waiting for this appointed hour. And heaven has declared, the hour is now. The angels are not whispering anymore. They are rejoicing. The winds are not still. They are carrying your name into places your feet haven't touched. The blessing is not forming. It has formed. It is here. Your name is marked with divine favor. Not the kind that fades with applause, but the kind that multiplies in stillness. The kind that draws holy eyes and confounds the wise. And every voice that said you were unqualified, I silenced it. Every lie that told you, not now, I overturned it. This miracle is not just for your comfort, it's for your calling. It will touch others. It will heal bloodlines. It will stir belief in those who forgot how to hope. You are the vessel, but I am the oil. You are the lamp, but I am the fire. So carry this miracle with reverence, not as proof of your worth, but as evidence of my covenant. Do not minimize what's about to unfold. Do not doubt your readiness. You were made for such a time as this. Now rise, walk forward. Let every step declare, the wait is over. The promise has landed. The God of heaven has moved. And your life will never be the same again.